Ian,
Patrick.
this story almost went past our radar the past weekend. It was Heritage Auctions. The first time they did exclusively a 3-day auction, July 9th to 11th, just for WATA graded, mostly sealed video games. Gotta get that out of the way early. And there was literally multiple record-breaking sales, not just one. There were multiple ones. So,
Yes.
so I wasn't paying attention at first, but I think it was Friday. I think that was Friday the 9th. The first print Legend of Zelda NES went for
$870,000.
that includes the 20% buyer's premium.
It's what they're paying. It counts.
It counts on some way. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's crazy, because there have been other Legend of Zeldas that come up. But okay, that's crazy. But then 2 days later, it goes from crazy to I don't have a word outside of ludicrous to describe this. It's like Spaceballs. You have like ludicrous speed. There's no word to describe how insane this is. A sealed Super Mario 64 went for $1.56 million.
Buck fucking nutty. That's what that is.
So the reaction was about the same to everyone, because we're still processing like, oh, we just had a big sale on Friday. That was insane. Now we have to process, because these are jump ups from like, the jump ups are like tens of thousands of percents. It's not like, oh, it just went up 20% or even 2 times. I can't calculate on a calculator the percentages that these went up from like past sales. It's like I don't have a word for it. It's nutty fucked. So the reaction of this made mainstream news. BBC wrote about it mainstream, because when you hear over $1 million, record breaking, blah blah blah, it starts setting off alarms to a lot of people, and it absolutely should. So there's a lot of angles we can dive into here, but I'll just read off my tweet that summarizes the thoughts here. That got retweeted a decent amount. I'm good for a good tweet every once in a while. I got some knowledge tucked away sometimes. Super Mario 64 sold for over $1.5 million. It is the successful result of 2+ years of a concerted effort between Heritage Auctions, WATA, and a small group of collectors from other hobbies with deep pockets to artificially pump up the sealed game market. Let's see what I say here. However, this pump is unnatural and dangerous long term. 99% of these games are not as rare as these purchase prices justify. The price increases are meteoric, and we do not know how many copies of each title exists, since WATA does not release population reports. These are extremely dangerous waters for a new collector investor to wade into. While there will be some winners in the grand scheme of this new market, most will end up big losers in the long term. I'm more saddened by anything, since the hobby of video game collecting has been co-opted by big businesses and organizations who did not even know video game collecting existed 5 years ago, and the end result will be people being taken to the proverbial cleaners. So we've been going down this line the past two years, really. I'd say 2019 when we started to see the craziness start. Early 2019, we had 3 Pawn Stars appearances with people with graded games in about a year span. We had the $100,000 sale, which was the record breaking at the time. That was only like a year and a half ago, a little more. The $100,000 Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, that's still fairly recent history.
A year and a half ago, $100,000 was the record breaker. Now we're $1.5 million, and we talked about the players involved with that and how they were connected to WATA and they knew each other. And I am still shocked. I knew it was trending in this direction, but everyone I talked to and experts did not think it would happen like this and this soon. That it would take some years to get here. Like all the other industries or hobbies, when you see like something break $1 million, it's like, oh, this is taking decades. Like baseball cards, this is going to take decades. It took decades for comic books to break the $1 million mark.
Yeah.
Like this is 2 years old. This market, about 2 years old. You want to say 2 to 3?
In terms of its seriousness, yeah.
I'm talking about just Heritage Auctions and people put their money. This is 2.5 to 3 years old only. WATA's only been around for like 3 years, grading stuff, because VGA never got the traction. They were on Heritage Auctions. Heritage Auctions has only been auctioning stuff off for 2.5 years. This is a 2.5-year-old market, by and large. So when you see that, It should raise like alarm bells should go off in your head for lots of reasons, which we can get into. But the silliness, I mean, we could run down the list. We sort it by, highest price sold. This is just that event. There were a dozen games that went for 6 figures or more. A dozen.
Yep.
More than a dozen or close to 6 figures, like 15 games. Like
Super Mario World 9.4
went for
Seal went for 360,000. Super Mario Brothers No Rev A 3 Screw mid production 228,000 whatever.
That's like a 1987 copy of that game.
Ocarina of Time 9.8 228,000. And then this one surprises me. Final Fantasy, the original 9.8 204,000. And then once again, because everything's topsy-turvy, the truly rare stuff, Nintendo World Championships 1990 Gray 8.0 180,000,
which is about what I thought that would go for. Being that they've slowly trickled up to $100,000, I'm like, it was ready to go. So like that's not a lead now. That could have been the lead. Like, oh wow, NWC cracked 100,000, 150,000, 180 with the buyer's premium. This has finally cracked that, and that's legitimately a rare game. There's like 60 to 70, around 70 known to exist there, and that's always been one of the most coveted games ever for decades. Nintendo World Championship. We can't even talk about that. That doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't,
and it should. We're talking about stuff like Nintendo 64 games going for over $1.5 million. Ocarina of Time going for 220,000, which is fucking batshit crazy. These aren't games that were like 25 years old. Mario 64 is 25 years old. Not 30, not 40, 25 years old. You can find sealed Mario 64s fairly easily, which we'll get into. So, what is happening here? Well, like I said, they did a great job, these folks, and it's a small group of people, it's a small group of collectors, it's people with vested interest in heritage and in WADA. They're connected. They did this. It was an effort, and it worked. It was not an accident this happened this quickly. It was not an accident. These are big players with money. The same people that are on the board of WADA are purchasing these games and are helping like that. Go back to the 100,000 Super Mario Brothers. One of the 3 owners is a guy that helped found Heritage Auctions. Like, you can't make it out. It's out in the open. It's out in the open. So when I see people saying, wow, look at this, or I see this Kotaku article I'm going to get into about this, I don't think people even know to ask the right questions to really ask why this is happening and this quickly. Why this game, which we'll get into as well.
I have no idea why it would be this, other than the fact that it seems to be it's popular. It's Mario, so it's going to get the name out there. But it just seems like a bad idea for it to be this one.
Why would it be this game and not an original Super Mario Brothers from '85? Like which is a lot more significant and a lot rarer. This is not rare to find a sealed Mario 64 at all. Look at the historical data. Go on eBay right now. Look at price charting. This was a game that only sealed was a couple $100 3-4 years ago. And now you're saying I could even, maybe not a 9.8, but a 9.4, I can get hundreds of thousands of dollars for? Really? Like, is there any semblance of sense to this? That's where I think they made a mistake. If this was a concerted effort to get this game up, and I'll say why I think they chose this game in particular. But this was the wrong game to do, because this is a game that, like I said, there's not even a word to describe how insane having this game go for 1.5 million is. There's not even a fucking word for it for a game like this.
Now, there was a Kotaku article that says, quite frankly, there's the headline: "What makes this particular copy of Super Mario 64 so special?" Short answer is no one's quite sure. Probably because there isn't anything. The only thing that they can really pull out is that it's a 9.8. And they talked to Dennis Kahn from WADA, and even he didn't really have like a great reason as to why this went for 1 million. And, he says there are discussions of how many first print sealed Mario 64s may exist, but no matter what the number is, there are certainly only a tiny fraction in 9.A++. Sure, it's a very high grade, and it's going to be hard to continue to find those in that grade, but it's not the only one.
No, because it goes back to if there's a 9.8 pulled from a case, that case has 5 other games in it.
That doesn't mean they're all 9.8. But yeah, there's 5 other chances in there.
Of just for one case, though.
Right.
And there's multiple cases out there.
And he actually says that. We often receive factory case packs of N64 games where all 6 copies have not been circulated. Even in these undistributed case fresh copies, most of the results end up with 2 or fewer at 9.8s.
Okay.
And oftentimes none. That's still a lot. Saying 2 or fewer, like that's not a lot.
That's 33%.
That's insane. That's a lot.
That's 33% of the ones you get. You want to say even 1 out of 5, that's 20%.
If you told me 1 N.8 out of 2 cases, I'd still be like, well, with something that is 25 years old and we have no idea what the actual amount of copies out there is, that's still pretty good odds.
That's good odds. That's pretty damn good odds. You have a 1 out of 6 or 2 out of 6 chance of getting that. That's really good odds. This is a game that sold several million copies in North America. Several million copies, at least in North America.
The article goes on. This article, I think, is a little too lenient with some of the things that I think they were told, but it does keep asking the question. But seriously, 1.5 million. They point out that a 9.4 A+ graded copy, sealed, of course, sold for only 38,000. Only 38,400 on Heritage Auctions in January, and a 9.2 sold for 7,500. Those are high prices even for those.
We commented, I think, probably that's insane.
But
for that.
to get this kind of jump.
Yes, because when you say, well, look what happens with comics or baseball cards, yes, the prices do go up once you hit a certain point. But to jump up this percentage I don't think ever happened in one of these hobbies before, where it's like, okay, you got a 9.4, 9.6, we'll say amazing, whatever, a Golden Age comic or whatever, and you see a jump up like that. That's not even a good comparison because Golden Age comics are so hard to find in good condition. I'm trying to think of a comparison where something would jump up that much, and it's like Dennis tries to say, well, there is a multiplier, but he even says it's like it's usually like
a 2 times multiplier, right? We're looking at.
All right, give me a fucking calculator because I don't know what that multiplier is.
Right.
What
I don't fucking know.
It's like 10 25,000%. Like what is that multiplier that you went up? Someone's going to tell me several thousand%. So the multiplier doesn't even make sense. So this article starts to scratch at the surface of questions that should have been asked, and the biggest one I'm going to have, and that we brought up in a voicemail. Someone asked us 2 weeks ago. Why doesn't WADA release population reports?
Because there's literally no benefit from a financial point of view. There's no benefit from a money-making point of view to release the population reports, because 2 things are going to happen with a population report. When a population report is released, the price is going to stay the same, or the price is going to drop. Because people are going to be able to look at how many copies of this exist, and they are going to be able to make a better assessment of the situation and what they should pay.
And financially, they'll make less money, and Heritage Auctions will make less money. Because obviously, Heritage Auctions takes a 20% buyer's premium, and most of the time, they take a percentage of the seller, which they don't, it's not anywhere there, but they do. So they're taking money on both sides there. They're getting a guarantee on both sides. But, so if the prices go down, they make less. If the prices also go down, how WADA grades games, it's like how they do with comics, where you have to get it valued. Like you say, oh, what is this worth? They do it based upon a percentage of the fair market value. So now, if I got a 9.8 Super Mario 64, and there are more out there, not just this one, I will stake money on that there's more.
Oh, sure.
If I get this graded, WADA might now go, well, 3 years ago, Ian, a 9.8 Super Mario 64 was maybe $1,000 or $2,000. We'll just say, now it's 1.5 million. You're going to give us now, we'll just say, I don't know, 20,000 to grade it, whatever the percentage would be, like 2% of 1.5. You know what I mean? Like, that's a reasonable expectation now.
Yeah.
The same amount of work that 2 years ago would have cost you $100 might cost you 5 figures to get a game graded. So they benefit by this as well. And obviously, now everyone who has a sealed N64 game is immediately going to try to get this stuff graded. There's a months backlog to get this stuff graded. Months backlog. You can pay more money to get it, sent within like I think a week or two, but now the turnaround time is like 4 or 5 months to get a game graded, something like that. The standard turnaround time. So this all feeds in above itself. These are incestuous relationships between the auction houses, the people that run the grading company, and the people buying these games.
Yes.
It's an incestuous collusion, basically. So that's, yeah. It gets into about this is what I always think this is always hysterical, that and this is why, Ian, we somewhat disagree about people that are getting into this. He says, but even he can't really explain it. All that being said, this price is still shocking, but shows the level of emotion involved in how prices are realized in an auction scenario. This was a case of several collectors, at least two, who fit the profile of wanting the absolute best of an iconic relic of pop culture that exists. This is the economics of a collectible market at play, and we get to see some incredible things happen. Oh, if only it was that simple and easy.
If only it was the economics of a collectible market at play.
If there were the economics of a collectible market at play, what would the first thing you would say would be? Well, why didn't this person buy something like this 3 years ago for 0.1% of the cost? Well, why wouldn't this person potentially, I don't know, maybe wait for the second one to come out or the third in this condition? You think there's only going to be one that exists that comes out in this condition, especially now? Why jump on the first one for this amount of money? Well, you say if they really wanted the best copy, or they truly want it for the emotion involved with it, why would you spend $1.5 million on this or not just go for the 9.4 or 9.6 instead? If hey, $30,000 is insane, but not batshit crazy like 1.5 million. Like it doesn't make it. It's not the emotion of having the best. Come on, we're not children. We've seen how this has been grown in huge quotes the past couple of years. I've been to the conventions. I've seen the players. One is yelled at me at Portland. It's nuts. So, the other thing that we have to talk about is that the other danger of this, and that goes for any of this stuff that we see. These prices are insane. We can't even focus on just one that's insane. There's no guarantee that we know money will exchange hands for these games.
Yes, correct. There's no guarantee that money will change hands. No IDs of the buyer. We don't know who bought it. But the news has been made, and that's all that's important for anyone who is got a vested interest in this. The news has been made. It's been set out there, and for all time now, this will be a Mario that is sold for this, even if the money never officially changes hands.
The person that, wow, this is an even crazier one. The person that got the 9.4, not even 9.8 Super Smash Brothers for $144,000. That's, we don't know if they'll put it in their credit card or whatever, a wire transfer to get that there. Because from my source, what I straight up asked, what if you don't pay? What do they do? I don't know if they can coerce you to pay. That'd be messy. They don't want the bad press of having someone. Heritage also would not want the press of, wow, this person is not paying for this stuff for this group. He said, well, what they usually do, they'll go to the second place buyer and ask them, do you want to buy it? I say, well, what if they don't want it? Well, they'll go to the third place buyer. What if they don't want it? And then what do? Will they relist it? And he goes, yeah, they could relist it, but for a high price item, this is told to me, they might just hide it.
Really?
And how would you know? It was never paid for. If this person never spends the money for this, how would you ever know? They're not going to do a press release saying no one bought it.
Right.
That would kill their business.
Yeah.
And would kill the faith in the system itself. So what's interesting about that is, like I said, when you see the amount here and you see all there's a lot of Pokemons that are going here. I talked about the basically using Heritage Auctions as a marketplace, and how when I fucked up and bought the winter games, I was given the option. So when you go down the list of games here, some of these, like, we'll just say, I don't know, this is crazy, but not as crazy at this point. Crash Bandicoot 9.4 going for $48,000 from PlayStation. You can immediately make an offer to the owner to buy for $72,000 or more. So this was just auctioned off 2 days ago. The money's probably not potentially transferred yet that quickly. Bank transfer on the weekend's not going to go through that quickly for that amount of money.
No.
So you have now potentially people in large quotes purchasing these items that can potentially flip them before even having to pay for them in theory. Because remember, when I bought my crappy game, I was just assessed a late fee, a percentage, almost like interest, on the game for not paying for it. So that's where we're at. This could become basically gambling to a point. Ian, if I wanted to God, there's some, like I said, in the past, we focus on the 5 or 6 crazy ones. They're all crazy now.
Yeah, they're all stupid.
I mean, they're all crazy. Your favorite game, Double Dragon, $30,000 NES sealed.
What a game.
Double Dragon on the NES, $30,000. I mean, I'm not even talking about right next to that, the one like, wow, Stadium Events went for $30,000. That's legitimately a rare game. And at least in the past, that went for like 15 grand, 10 grand. Like, that's only like a 2x above what it used to be. So you can be like, okay, that's within the realm of some reason. Not when I see a $30,000 Double Dragon. That's not That's not realm of reason. None of these are realm of reason anymore. Or a $31,000 fucking Halo on Xbox 9.6 that was sealed. Like the most popular game on that console. So we're in, like I said, strange times. Oh, by the way, there was 2 state events. One went for like 22,000, one went for 30 there. Yeah. And on the heels of this, Ian, CGC announced I think it was Friday or Thursday.
I thought it was the day before.
Good, with great timing though, because they knew that big auction was coming up. CGC's to hire top video game experts to launch new grading service. The Certified Collectibles Group is seeking to hire top video game experts to lead a new division, CGC Video Games, that will be dedicated to expert and impartial video game collection. So CGC is like the largest comic book grader. They do coins. The division, they do cards, trading cards. So
if time in the game is what made you official, there's none more official, really.
They're the most trusted, to do this. So remember how I said we needed a competitor to VGA because they were just awful? We're way past due for now a third competitor for WADA. So I welcome CGC coming into the market, and CGC releases population reports. I can go on their site and log in. I can say, okay, how many Action Comics #1 have you graded, and what are the grades for? Like how many for each grade? And it'll come up. So if I'm a collector or want to speculate, I know that, this is legitimately rare. There's only been, 10 Action Comics at a 4.0 grade, whatever. So like I know that if something goes for the same price, well, there's others out there. I can wait, or it's within the realm of reason. There's no good answer for why WADA. Let's say. There's no positive answer that WADA could possibly give for why they don't release population reports. They know in their internal databases how many Super Mario 64s they've graded. They know it. So, not seeing that asked in the Kotaku article, maybe in the future they'll get around to understanding why that's important. I can understand why is this fishy? Well, this is almost like splintering off from that. But
I don't think it's a bad article. I do think they should have gone harder with some of the questions, but it's obvious. It plainly shows that there's a lot of questions about this.
And maybe they're not the people to ask it, But they can go on price charting and look at how, this was a sealed game was like a few $100s forever, and all of a sudden the past year, oh no, what's happening? I can't even a straight line up in the air for the rise in price. It doesn't make any sense. Or looking at there was a sold eBay one, just went for, where is it? The one that went for like 15 grand. A first print one just went for 16 grand. Buy it now or best offer, back on May 29th. And when I look at this copy, wow, this looks like a pretty damn clean copy, Ian. Was this the one that just went for 1.5 million? I can't say, but I wouldn't be shocked if you told me that this was one of the ones that was just auctioned off. I'm not shocked anymore by this. You can turn it around that quickly, buy it, get it graded in a week, send it back.
Sure.
Send it there. You can do that. But that's where we're at, though. We're going to have a ton of these come on the market. And this is what we missed out on. Why do they pick this game? This game is not too old. And this game is not rare at all. And it's not even that hard to find sealed. This is a game that everyone can profit on immediately and for years. There'll be sealed Mario 64s auctioned off every month until we're dead, potentially. Just like how the Spider-Man one for Atari.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why, because by taking a game that's not actually rare and not old, people will find this, think they've got bank, and send it in. It's going to generate money for the grading business, because it's a game that there are going to be a lot of people, I think, this week, and they're not going to be 9.8s necessarily, but there are definitely going to be, I'm just going to say 4 to 5 people this week who are like, I've got a sealed one. I'm going to send that in and get that graded.
4 to 5,
I'm sure
generous. Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen. It's because it's going to generate business.
Yeah. There'll be someone that said, you know what, Ian, I do have a shipping box laying around. Never opened it. Now I am.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't even worth it before at 10,000. So like that's the danger of something that's, again, 25 years old only. That we know, like Ian said, you had a sealed one in your shop. You said at some point
we had a sealed one in the shop within the past few years. I think past 5, maybe 10. But we've had sealed Mario 64 come through.
It's not hard to find sealed N64 games. You're getting to that point near 2000 where it's like, okay, this stuff is a little bit easier to get a hold of.
Yeah.
I've seen shipping boxes of N64 games. We've seen them. Even Super Nintendo games you can find shipping boxes of. So, yeah, I think that's me being cynical. They picked the wrong game to do this with, though. If this was a concerted effort between groups to do this, because now people are like, wow, this is over the top.
People are asking questions and no one's got any answers.
Yeah, but people are going to lose out, though. And that's the thing. It's like, well, if I'm a collector who doesn't know the history of video game collecting, or a speculator, I'll just say, all right, Ian. Well, a 9.8 went for 1.5 million. You know that 9.6 is a deal at 600,000. It's a deal, right? It has to be. Shit like that potentially can happen. That's what I think they're hoping for. I think hope it happens. It might. We'll see. But just like the Spider-Man, this will be just like the Spider-Man. The more that come out every month, 9.8 Spider-Man. First one goes for $9,000. Next one goes for $8,000. Next one goes for $6,000. And then you realize, wow, there's a ton of these out there, and this is going to happen with this game as well. So it's dangerous games we're playing with. This is a lot of money that's going to be shit away. And the people on the bottom floor of this a couple years ago, they win. I'm not saying they didn't win. You played it brilliantly. You played it brilliantly, but you are snakes.
Oh yeah.
And you don't care that a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, because that's how you got your money and how you're getting rich. So I hope you can live with yourself. Obviously you can. But this you're gonna take a lot of money from people that yes, they should know better, but when a market's being manipulated, how do you know better? Not everyone keeps up with this stuff.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Anything else to add, Ian? Or you
no.
Good? I can't believe we didn't talk about the NWC card. I thought that was going to be like the big thing from this auction.
No, I mean,
I can't even believe that.
We're beyond that, and that was the thing that made me realize that this was a different sort of thing. When the truly rare and interesting stuff is no longer what's going for money, and we're finding ways to make money off of the common stuff.
Because you could have pumped up an NWC grade at like $500,000, but you know what? There's not enough of them for the steady stream of money. There's only like 70 of them. And then, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. You can't do it with the gold. There's only 13 gold carts. So, yeah, that's going to make waves when a gold one comes up. But you don't have 100 people saying, oh, I'm going to get mine graded on, because there isn't 100 people that have it. There's definitely at least 100 people easily that have a sealed Mario 64. I'll go on record. I'll say there's probably hundreds for a game like that overall that are sitting around. It's the most ubiquitous Nintendo 64 game. It's only 25 years old. And when you look at the records, there's constantly ones available. Constantly for Mario 64. Maybe not hundreds, but 100 at least. 100, right. 150. Ian had one, for God's sake. You should have held on to it, man. You know.
Moving on.